What's up, traders? Welcome back to Frank's Trades. This episode, I'll be talking about the so-called trade war between President Trump and China and the U.S., and whether I think it's really over or not. Sorry about the crappy picture I took off the internet, but I wanted you to see Trump and Xi together. They really just don't look like they're getting along. And they look so old and so stubborn. I don't really know how they could make a deal between each other. But anyways, let's talk about the trade war and where it essentially started. Let's start back in 2016 when Trump was elected. He had complained about the Chinese trading practices even before he took office. So once Trump became president, he began an investigation on the Chinese the next year. And that investigation led them to setting tariffs on numerous Chinese products. And China was basically doing the same thing to us after what we did. And when I say us, I mean the United States of America. But moving on to 2018, take a look at the amount of tariffs the US imposed compared to the Chinese. Also take a look at the number of goods we imported from China compared to the amount we set tariffs on. Almost half of the Chinese goods we imported were tariffed. Now, with that in mind, let's look at China. Here, China doesn't even import half of all the goods the U.S. imposes tariffs on. I know this may sound confusing and I apologize, but let me just tell you why I think this is important. Because China only imports 22% of what the U.S. imports, the U.S. has the advantage in this situation, at least when it comes to threats, like we've witnessed back in May. Since China can only threaten to tariff up to $120 billion worth of U.S. goods, they will and have already been out-threatened by the U.S. Trump initiated $250 billion worth of tariffs on China already. If the U.S. wanted to step it up another notch, they could just knock it up to another $325 billion worth of tariffs, like you see here. But that doesn't mean the U.S. has the advantage overall. Here we are in 2019, and only 1 month ago were talks of the trade war becoming a global issue. China is our biggest trading partner, and if we made trade difficult for them, they would undoubtedly do the same. This article mentions a full-on embargo from the Chinese. Our international companies will suffer and economies will slow. The trade issues have slowed from when Trump called off his 25% increase on tariffs on China and Mexico. But the road to a real truce is still in the works. The two leaders, Trump and Xi, are trying to reach an agreement without causing any more distress. But just to refresh, China's trade practices are considered unfair to the U.S. because of their economic model. That's what this whole situation is about. China has a state-led economic model where most of the economic decisions are made by the government and not by private owners. You can see in the second paragraph where it talks about intellectual property and technology. And lastly, Trump is still putting tariffs on the remaining $300 billion worth of Chinese goods if the deal doesn't work out. So the president is still fine with slapping more tariffs on China, which is exactly what caused the terrible week in May on the threat of a so-called trade war. And China feels the same way. This article mentions that the president may even put tariffs on all auto imports, which you see in this last paragraph. And that's not just on China. He's talking about including the European Union. Both sides seem to be pretty trigger happy for tariffs, so there's no clear reason that suggests these two countries will reach an agreement somehow. Anyways, that's all I got on the China-US quote-unquote trade war. I hope you liked this video and it wasn't too long for you guys. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll post my free channel in the description below. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.